Every business day, we present unusual option activity as defined by us. And through our heat seeker algorithm, we basically share with you exactly what we have seen in at least 3 separate instances that day. And I'm about to do just that. But before we go into that too deep, let me just bring you up to speed with the disclaimer, which says this is for educational and informational purposes only. You need to understand that all investments do involve risk. So please be aware of that prior to making an investment decision, like following us into one of these stocks. Second, we have intellectual property on much of what you are about to see. So once again, before you decide to just reproduce this, please ask us, and then cite Market Rebellion. We appreciate that. We love it when you share our information with your friends. I know they will find it vital and informative as well, but we would just ask that you ask prior to reproducing any of what you're about to see. Well, the lovely Kate Kelly was on with us on Halftime today. She is a former CNBC reporter and, of course, now a New York Times reporter, and graces us with her presence from time to time. The New York Times article that she produced was about the cold storage, the critical to vaccine cold storage, that is Wall Street's shiny new thing. You know how we love shiny things on Wall Street. So something all of a sudden becomes, oh my God, we should be buying Whirlpool because they have freezers. We should buy Trolson. We should buy, no, we're talking about really, really cold storage, and also something that is specific to the developments that Pfizer and that Moderna have done that require temperatures that are extreme, and thus there are some, and Kate cited one of those. I wanted to just point out to you this one that I did not get to mention today, and that is BioLife Solutions. Now, in fairness, I have owned this one, but like many stocks that I own that are in the small cap space, CNBC would prefer that I not speak about stocks that are under $1 billion. Now, it used to be 250 million, and then as the markets kept moving up, became 500 million. Eventually, it became $1 billion. This is not me blaming CNBC for anything. This is me saying that they decided that it was better to not have stocks that were under a certain market cap for fear of manipulation. I don't disagree with that, and so I adhere to their guidelines. But in fairness, I have been in this stock. The stock, I think earlier this year, was under $10 a share. It hasn't like made this monstrous jump today, but over the past month, it is up better than 25, 26%, I think, something like that. And obviously from $10 to 40, that's a 400% return. What do? Well, just as it says on this slide, they have proprietary biopreservation, easy for him to say, media products, including hypothermosol and cryostore. And what does that mean? Well, things like that, they basically are what you use to basically store. I'm not saying that they are making the refrigerators. I'm saying that their products help that biologic material not degrade as you begin the thawing process. So this is part of what Kate Kelly was talking about. This is not one of the stocks that she mentioned. That I want to be clear on. But I wanted to mention it to you for being bold enough to come on with me here to 3 at 3. So I wanted to share a little extra with you, and that is one of those little extras that you get here and nowhere else. Thank you. BLFS. Keep an eye on it. Regardless of which cold we're talking about, the Moderna, which doesn't have to be stored at quite the same cold as it's transported to the hospitals as Pfizer's does. But I imagine there will be other vaccines, and I think they will also require a lot of what BioLife does. Stock is now, I think, about $1.3 billion or so market cap. So you understand now why it has just crossed in the last month into the area where I could actually talk about it on TV. Whoops. Let's also hit our subscription over at YouTube, because we do have a YouTube channel where you get everything that we produce on the video side for free. You get Pete's The Take, you get my morning workout video, you get 3 at 3, and you get Compound Interest, which is my podcast. You can get all of that. All you have to do is go over to YouTube, subscribe. We're on all the socials with this stuff too, but knowing how YouTube works, I thought you might like that, because you can click that little bell in the upper right, and then you'll be alerted every time a new video goes up from me or Pete. Thank you. I also wanted to share this with you, because this is the first trading day for Airbnb, and I wanted to be one of the first to talk about it. CNBC was nice enough to let me do that. As I said, hey, I was buying these calls today. And you might say to yourself, sort of like Scott did, let me see, Doc, if you're lightening up, why are you buying something as crazy as Airbnb? Look at the left side of the screen and then look at the right side of the screen, and you'll know why. Because first trading day for these options, they were sub $4 for the right to buy all the way out to January, the third Friday in January, the 160 calls. So they were trading for $390, $360, $370, and you get the idea. Those are one lots though. You go deeper down into it, you were paying in the mid $4s to get into some of these. Now look over at the right side. That was as of a half an hour ago. Those options had gone from 4 to 12. So that's a nice triple, wouldn't you say? So that's why, Scott, that's why I'm trading those, Judge. That's why I'm trading those. Because again, 1,000 shares of this stock would have been, as you can see, underlying price, UNDPX. That's that far right column in each of these two slides. Underlying price was around 130. So 1,000 shares is 130 grand. A 10 lot at $4, $4 is 400. A 10 lot controls 1,000 shares of stock, would have been $4,000. So you tell me, would you rather put $130,000 down, or would you be willing to say, I have an outlook that this stock is going higher, especially on the day, and I'll be able to jump in at $4,000 for a 10 lot, 1,000 share position, and now jump out of it at $12,000. I just turned 4,000 into 12,000. So that's what I want you to concentrate on, folks. It's not me touting myself as this great trader. As you know, I didn't hang on for the 12,000, because when an option doubles, I take half off, and then I let the rest run. I might even start selling, which I've done, upside calls against the calls that I bought, because that is also what I do. So if you want to learn more about that, go to Market Rebellion, because we can teach you about spreads, one-to-one spreads with no additional risk other than the price you paid for the one you bought. You sell another against it at a higher strike price, in some cases collecting the same price you paid because the stock has run. In other words, buying those 160s at 4, selling the 170s or even the 180s at 4. Come on. That's what you can do when you are lucky enough to leg into a spread, and that's what we're talking about in this case. So, as always, I tend not to trade just 1,000 share position. I like trading 100. That's a 10,000 share position, and you know what that means. A 10,000 share position wouldn't be 130 grand. It would have been 10 times that, $1.3 million for me to control 100. But on the other hand, controlling 100 options rather than just a 10 lot, 100 options would mean that I've got 40 grand at risk, still less than the 130 grand that you'd have to have for just a 10 lot simulation. So that's what I wanted to get across to you. Airbnb options started trading today, and they've already made massive moves. The 140s and even the 130s have traded a lot, and those are December options. I wanted to give you something that had a little more time that I was participating in. Thank you. All right, first of our 3 at 3, it is Microsoft. Why? Well, look at it running. Microsoft, that's not why, because I don't just buy things because they're running. I bought it because of unusual activity at the Feb 240 call strike. They bought a lot of them, folks. They bought over 34,000. So that's 3.4 million share equivalent. Again, every option is for 100 shares of stock. So when somebody buys 3.4 million share equivalent by buying 34,000 calls, that is something that gets my attention, gets Pete's attention, and our heat seeker is what pointed it out for us. So the stock was up some 2%, $4.62. There you see now it's moved up even more. Stock is 219. As this 5-day graph shows, the stock running from 213 yesterday, 212 almost, 213, all the way here to 219. Bang! All right, you want to learn about trading blind spots? Well, we've got 2 of our best coming your way for free. You can register at marketrebellion.com. Those 2 best are Bill Johnson. Bill is our #1 educator, the head of education at Market Rebellion, and Stu Dorfman, one of our trading coaches. So you want to learn about doing bull call spreads. You want to learn about trading that blind spot that you never even saw it out there, and all of a sudden, it's on top of you. You can do that. Eliminate those blind spots by joining us for free at 4 p.m. Eastern Time today. So 4 p.m. Eastern Time today, that is just 45 minutes from now. You got 45 minutes to register. If you register within the next 45 minutes, you're in. If you don't, you missed out. What can I say? It is free. I can't encourage you enough to join Bill Johnson and Stu Dorfman for that today. Let's now get to the second of our 3 at 3, which is Dynatrace. Dynatrace symbol DT. They're buying February 41 calls. The stock was just under 40 when we saw it this morning. I think 40, I'm not under 40, under 41. It was about $40.45 if memory serves. Then they buy a ton of these calls. We want to follow anybody who buys a ton of calls. There you see the stock popping through 41, going to 42.50, and 42.26 is where it is right now. So these calls are out in February, so you have nearly 2 full months to be right in this trade. You're already right today, and if you're in these 41s, you could already start selling 43s, 44s against it. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you what I am doing and what you can do. Remember, I'm not your investment advisor, but I'm presenting this for educational and informational purposes. So if you want to become a better trader, you should listen up. And then you decide what's appropriate for you. You can go to marketrebellion.com/get started to learn more. That is marketrebellion.com/get started in stocks, in options, in futures, in cryptos, all of that at marketrebellion.com. I encourage you strongly to check it out. Also encourage you to tune in again tomorrow, because I'll not only be doing 3 at 3, I'll be doing the halftime report tomorrow again. Third of our 3 at 3, why not? Apple, one of my favorites. It's not making that outsized move that it made yesterday, but we participated and loved that move yesterday. Today, though, I'd say this is a big trade. 74,000 of the 145 calls in February. So 74,000, every option is for 100 shares of stock. So add 2 zeros to that. What do you get? That means 7.4 million share equivalent at the 145 strike in February. So what does that tell you? Somebody thinks the stock, like Katie Huberty type, thinks the stock goes north, or at least screaming towards 145 between now and 60 days from now when these options expire. You can control that for less than $3. $3 would be $300 per option. So in other words, a 10 lot would be $3,000. Jon trade, 100 lot would be $30,000. That is still so small to be able to participate on the upside of Apple over the next 60 days. That's why I love following the smart money. Now, you looking at that might say, I want to do that. Well, look what they did also. They rolled these January 140 calls, and or they were selling those January 140 calls against the 145s. So that tells me they're not looking for it to run through 140 really by January expiration. They're looking for it to keep moving to the upside, and yet we get to 140. Those 140s in January could be worthless. And the 145s with a month to go, what would they be worth? A lot of money. That's what we're talking about here, folks. So watch this and maybe check out marketrebellion.com/get started. There's the Apple chart. Shows you from yesterday at the beginning of the day, sub 122, to exploding today to nearly 128. Bang! You got questions? We'd love to answer your questions. Please send them to 3@3. That is 3@3_UOA, or to me on Twitter, Jon Najarian, Jon, my dad's John, Jon Najarian, Najarian is my Twitter handle. Thank you. All right. KW says, hey, Jon, you do know your brother is in Florida, right? Well, Falling Go Bunt, that's his Twitter handle, FALINGGOBUNT. Yeah, I do know he's in Florida. He rubs it in every day. It's nice and sunny and beautiful in Florida, and he's starting to drive back to the north, so he's going to be in this same kind of, dreary weather that we've got in the north, but he's not here yet. So Pete is enjoying the sun. Jon is looking out at snow here in Chicago today. Thank you, KW. BTC, Ed Snowden says, one word, Bitcoin. Yeah, Mr. Snowden, I agree. Bitcoin traded through 20,000 a day. There are several ways that I play it, as you know. I play it through Square. I play it through PayPal. I play it through Galaxy, which is my friend Mr. Novogratz's company that's publicly traded. I play it through Silicon Valley Bank and Silvergate. I play it through a whole bunch of ways, including Riot Blockchain and others. MicroStrategy, MSTR. You have to decide what's appropriate for you folks. But yes, Mr. Snowden, you are correct. Bitcoin, baby. For all the doubters out there, for all the haters, nothing better than a little boom through 20,000 to get people looking at Bitcoin again. AMD, all right. Dees 108 calls. Giddy up. Pete Najarian, please tell me this was at least a contender for your new FANG. Well, I imagine it was a contender for Pete's new FANG, Randy, and Randy's handle is ANAUBURNTIGER. So I guess that's Anna U or Anna Auburn Tiger. Anyway, that's a complicated Twitter handle, but nonetheless, we're happy to read those off. Yep, still love AMD. We've hit it hard in this name, and I still love it, still in it. Whoops. By the way, Market Rebellion, if you go to the App Store, you will see our crypto app. Just go to the App Store at Apple, type in Market, hit a space, and then Rebellion, and you'll see this app. It is free. It's got great charting for cryptos. I think you'll love it. And a lot of folks have already downloaded that app and do love it. Thank you. Palantir, yes. Peter Thiel's company. Let's talk about it, Eric. Turbo_987 says, I saw you on halftime that you're writing calls against your Palantir. How do you choose your strike price? How often do you roll them? Okay, Eric, here's what I do. Especially if a stock has run, like Palantir has, I tend to write at the money calls on the day that I write them. And if the stock drops, then I buy back those calls and write a lower strike against the calls, against the stock that I own. Now, as far as rolling, what he means when he says rolling, he obviously knows a thing or two about options. When you roll, you're taking off one and pushing it out to another. So for instance, let's say that I had written the 25s in Palantir, and now it's through 25. First of all, when it goes through by at least $1, I buy those back and I roll out and up. So for instance, I would buy those 25s back and roll up probably to the 27 or 30 strike and out probably a month out into the future. So I buy them back when they go $1 in the money against me on something like Palantir, and I roll frequently, as often as it takes. If I've written calls against it at 25 and it goes to 27, I buy back the 25s, roll it out to the 30s, for instance, and I do that whenever they go at least $1 in the money. That's what I do. Thank you, Eric, for asking. Scott Van Eck says, and his handle is funny, it's Save Me One, SAVEME1. Scott Van Eck says, John, hey John, your discipline of selling half the position when it doubles, does that also apply when you have a bull call spread? Thanks. Yes, it does, Scott. When an option doubles, so it goes from, say, 75 cents to $1.50, I'll pull half of that off the table, Scott, and I'll let the rest run. If it starts pulling back to, say, $1.25, again, I would have taken off half at $1.50. The other 50 lot that I didn't take off, if they fall back to $1.25, I'm probably exiting the rest because that's my discipline about making money. If they lose half their value, I cut as well on a 50% decline. Now, as far as on a bull call spread or bear put spread, yes, same thing applies, same rule. If it doubles, I take off half. Thank you, Scott. If you'd like to learn more about Market Rebellion, please go to marketrebellion.com/UOA. That is marketrebellion.com/UOA for unusual option activity. Remember, just over half an hour from right now, we've got that Eliminating Your Trading Blind Spots free webinar. Go to marketrebellion.com, sign up now, or you're going to regret it. It's right at the top of the hour at 4 p.m. Eastern Time today. Make sure you check it out. Thank you for joining me today, folks. Always appreciate it. I'll be back on halftime tomorrow, and I hope we see you then. Until then, enjoy. I'll talk to you soon. Bang!